Good afternoon. So, welcome to Banik Live. In this international institution heading, today we are going to discuss about BRICS and the BRICS summit. Fine. So, what the topic that we have taken today? It is BRICS, representing 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Fine. And these 5 countries are from 4 continents. Five countries from 4 continents. Brazil from South America, Russia partly in Europe and partly in Asia, suppose in Europe, India and China both in Asia, and South Africa in Africa. So 5 countries and 4 continents. Fine. The term was coined by British economist Jim O'Neill in 2001, representing emerging economies of the world. When the British economist Jim O'Neill coined this concept called BRIC, because it was then 4 countries, not 5. Initially, it consisted of 4 countries. Fine. South Africa was not there. So the plan was the 4 countries arranged for an annual meeting of foreign ministers on the sideline of the United Nations General Assembly session in 2006. Fine. So initially it was BRIC, BRIC, B representing Brazil, R representing Russia, I representing India, C representing China. BRIC, not BRICS. Initially it is BRIC, BRIC. Fine. And they arranged for an annual meeting of foreign ministers on the sideline of the United Nations General Assembly session since 2006. So for the first time in 2006, the success of the meet led to crystallization of an annual summit under the aegis of BRIC. BRIC was formed. Initially, the grouping was BRIC. South Africa was inducted in 2010, and from there on, it has been referred as BRICS. The S representing South Africa was added subsequently. South Africa was added subsequently in 2010. So the group of 4 nations called BRIC was transformed to BRICS, with South Africa the 5th member. Fine. So BRIC became BRICS in 2010 when South Africa joined the group. Coined by Jim O'Neill, the British economist, in 2001, The informal meeting was started in 2006, and success of that led to an annual summit the next year onward. And in 2010, as South Africa was added as the fifth member, the BRIC became BRICS. Fine. BRIC is an important grouping. So look at its importance. Why this group is so important? Why in global focus? BRIC is an important grouping bringing together major emerging economies. What? Major emerging economies from the world, comprising of 41% of the world population, 24% of the world GDP, 16% share in world trade. This signifies its importance. Okay, so 41% of population, of world population, you can say, in 5 countries. Okay, there are more than 200 countries in the world. These 5 countries represent 31% of the population, means most populous group. This one is. And these 5 countries have nearly 1/4 of the world GDP. That means most are growing economies or emerging economies. These 5 countries represent 24% of the world GDP. And their share in world trade is 16%. So that is why this group is important. And in the area wise, the combined area is 29.3% of the total land surface of the world. That means nearly slightly less than 1/3 of the global geographical area belong to these 5 countries. So they have demographic advantage, they have territorial advantage, they have a huge share in world GDP and trade. That is why this group is so important. Over a period of time, the BRICS countries have come together to deliberate on important issues on 3 different pillars. What is the focus area? Political and security, economic and financial, cultural and people-to-people exchanges. They always highlight on 3 things. What are the 3? Okay, so on political and security issues, on economic and financial issues, on culture and people-to-people exchanges. These 3 domains are the core areas or the 3 pillars of BRICS interaction among the members. Political cooperation and security cooperation, economic and financial synergization, and culture and people-to-people interaction, expansion of that are the focus of the BRICS strategy, the foundation on which, or the, you can say, the prospect or the focus area of BRICS. Fine. Moving further, so the BRICS summit, the first summit was started in 2009. Although they met informally on the sideline of the United Nations General Assembly annual session in 2006, but their formal annual meeting or formal annual summit mechanism was launched in 2009. Fine. And since that day, they are meeting regularly every year in the format of the BRICS Summit or BRICS Annual Summit to deliberate on important issues. Fine. And the last year meeting held in 2021 was hosted by India in the virtual mode because the ongoing pandemic led it to organize its annual meeting in virtual mode, and member nations participated in the 11th summit, so the 12th summit, in the 13th summit on virtual mode. The 14th BRICS summit was also hosted in 2022 in the same virtual mode. Recently, in September 2022, the foreign ministers of Brazil, Russia, India, China extended their full support to South Africa for its BRICS chairship in 2023 and also for holding the 15th summit in South Africa. In 2023 or the next year, the summit will be hosted by South Africa, the other member country of this organization. Fine. So, BRICS, since its creation, has taken a number of new initiatives for its own member countries' benefit. The most important initiative taken in the BRICS forum is the New Development Bank or the BRICS Bank. It has launched a bank called the BRICS Bank, popularly known as NDB, New Development Bank or BRICS Bank. During the 6th BRICS Summit at Brazil, Fortaleza in Brazil in 2013, the leaders signed the agreement establishing the New Development Bank, NDB, the headquarters at Shanghai in China. Okay, and India's prominent banker K.V. Kamath is the first head of this New Development Bank and has completed his tenure last year. Okay, it was a $100 billion fourth bank promoted with the BRICS to support the infrastructure development programs in the member countries. Okay, since its creation, it has approved more than 70 infrastructure and sustainable development projects worth. Fine. That is what, why there is the need for a BRICS bank. Because the Bretton Woods twins, okay, the World Bank and IMF were Western dominated. To check the Western domination, the BRICS country decided, let's launch our own financial institution which will provide or fulfill the financial need of the BRICS countries and reduce their dependence on the Western controlled World Bank and IMF, thereby reducing their hegemony. That is the main reason why it was decided to create the bank. Fine. Which will finance the infrastructure and sustainable development projects in the member countries of BRICS, and their dependence on the Western dominated financial institutions like IMF and World Bank will be reduced to some extent. Fine. In 2014, the BRICS government or the member countries had signed a treaty on the setting up of the contingent reserve arrangement. What they created, they agreed to establish a contingent reserve arrangement. The arrangement is aimed at forestalling short-term balance of payment pressures, provide mutual support and strengthen financial stability of BRIC nations. Most important thing, forestalling short-term balance of payment pressures. Balance of payment, when a country owe an amount to another country in foreign currency, of which it don't have a reserve of its own, so its balance of payment position comes under threat. As its balance of payment position comes under threat, so it approaches the International Monetary Fund. Any country facing BOP crisis, what? BOP, balance of payment crisis, so contact the International Monetary Fund. Okay, and International Monetary Fund has a SDR facility. Okay, from which the member country, as per their quota, can get the foreign currency to meet their balance of payment crisis. Fine. But as the BRICS country want to reduce their dependence on the international financial institutions dominated by the Western countries, so they have created a parallel mechanism called as the balance of payment. It is known as the contingent reserve arrangement, CRA. What it is? CRA, contingent reserve arrangement. And as per this, their short-term balance of payment pressures can be taken care of. Then provide mutual support and strengthen financial stability of the BRICS country. If one BRICS country is facing any financial crisis, others should come to its rescue. Fine. Okay. And thereby the financial stability of the member countries of group BRICS will be maintained. That is the mandate of the contingent reserve arrangement, because that amount should be in foreign currency. For that, earlier they had to depend upon the IMF, and they had to move with a begging bowl around IMF for this. And the IMF being dominated by the Western countries, they dictate terms and conditions. Fine. And if the same facility will be made available at BRICS, it will be quite convenient and easy to get this facility. Fine. Okay. So one more thing is that the BRICS payment system. BRICS countries are trying to create a payment system as an alternative to the SWIFT payment system. SWIFT is the worldwide messaging network used by the banks around the world. Okay. SWIFT is a worldwide messaging network used by the banks. Fine. So BRICS decided to create its own parallel network. Okay, its own parallel network SWIFT stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. What? SWIFT. It stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Fine. So BRICS nation developed their parallel one. Fine. They develop their parallel structure. Okay. So it became easy for the BRICS nations to follow it. They will not depend upon the Western countries for their messaging network. They will not at all depend upon the Western countries. They develop their own message network. Fine. This has taken on a new urgency at the post-Ukraine war. Russia has been frozen out of the SWIFT. So SWIFT messaging network, Russia was denied in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Fine. So in the Russia-Ukraine war, so the global community agreed to ban Russia from this, and as Russia was banned, so it was not possible on part of Russia to go for this, and Russia encouraged for a parallel mechanism. Okay, the parallel mechanism was launched at BRICS. Fine. Then the custom agreement. The custom agreements were signed to coordinate and ease trade transport among the BRICS countries. Fine. It was arranged to coordinate and make it easy to trade among BRICS member countries. Fine, that's good. Launch of remote sensing satellite. A remote sensing constellation of satellites has been launched with 6 satellites, including 2 from India, 2 from China, 1 from Russia, and 1 from Brazil. China collaboration for remote sensing activity among the member countries. Fine. Fine. So it became quite easy because a remote sensing satellite. So India has a credibility in launching remote sensing satellites. Fine. So China has a credibility. Russia is one of the prominent and earliest space power. Fine. So they all agreed to launch a remote sensing satellite. Fine. Of the BRICS or for the BRICS nations. Fine. Okay. This constellation will provide remote sensing facility for the BRICS member countries. Okay, you see, so BRICS in number, population 42%, land around 30%, GDP 26%, export 20%, and these are the BRICS nations. Okay, the last summit of BRICS was held in 23rd June 2022, hosted by China at Beijing. Right. China hosted the last summit of BRICS, and this was held in June 2022. Let's discuss, this is important, what are the major highlights of the last BRICS summit, what the leaders agreed at this year's BRICS summit hosted by China. Fine. So what the leaders agreed for? So that is popularly known as the Beijing Declaration, because the summit was hosted by China, the Chinese capital. So the major agreements were declared under the Beijing Declaration. Okay, under the Beijing Declaration. Okay, fine. It is known as the Beijing Declaration. It states that BRICS support talk between Russia and Ukraine, the most important thing. Fine. Okay. So the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, has its own shadow on almost all the countries of the world, and the BRICS members are more affected by this. Taking this into consideration, the most important declaration at this year's summit was on the issue called a talk between the two rivals countries, Russia and Ukraine, to end the destruction going on since last 5 months. The grouping is willing to support the United Nations and International Red Cross Society, International Committee of the Red Cross, effort to deliver humanitarian aid to Ukraine. It is willing to support the United Nations and the International Committee of the Red Cross, which has been trying its best to deliver humanitarian aid to the people of Ukraine. Countries also expressed concern about the situation in Taliban-held Afghanistan, which has been facing acute food scarcity and restrictions on women and the deteriorating security situation there. Fine. So apart from Ukraine, the other country discussed at the summit was Afghanistan. The member countries, they expressed their concern about the security and humanitarian situation in Taliban-held Afghanistan. Fine. So what they discuss? Humanitarian situation in Kashmir. Concerned over the humanitarian situation in and around Ukraine, the group expressed their support to efforts of United Nations Secretary General, UN agencies and International Committee of the Red Cross to provide humanitarian assistance in accordance with the basic principles of humanity, neutrality and impartiality. Following the humanitarian or imbibed by the humanitarian principles, they agreed that the effort of the United Nations in providing humanitarian assistance to the people of Ukraine suffering from war should be given priority. Fine. It should be given priority. Okay. This is what was the very fast and important discussion at the Beijing hosted BRICS summit. Terrorism. When discussing the terrorism and terror cooperation, the BRICS countries said that only the UN Security Council had the authority for imposing sanctions. So they are against unilateral sanction. Fine. They are against imposition of any unilateral sanction on terrorism by any group. Like USA imposing sanction, rather they opted for multilateral sanction under United Nations. Okay. Okay. Only United Nations Security Council have been authorized to impose any sanction or take any measure against terrorism because terrorism has emerged as a global security challenge. It being a global security challenge, so the global organization, United Nations, can only take steps and should take steps. Fine. Only. None else. Fine. Then moving forward, on Afghanistan, the BRICS countries called for Afghan authority to achieve national reconciliation through dialogue and negotiation, because there are so many stakeholders and the Taliban group has taken over power in Afghanistan but unable to provide a stable government. The situation is going beyond control. The situation is going beyond control. So that is the main issue discussed at reconciliation with the stakeholders. There are so many stakeholders in Afghanistan. If the stakeholders are not taken into consideration, situation cannot improve for a final solution, and establish a broad-based and inclusive and representative political structure, heading that Afghan territory must not be used for shelter terrorists or attack any other country. Because under the previous Taliban rule, Afghanistan provided became the breeding ground of global terrorism, because they patronize the Al-Qaeda terrorists, who in fact attacked the World Trade Center and created havoc around the world. This time, the global community or the BRICS country, they also warn Afghanistan that its territory should not be utilized to promote patronage terrorism and to attack any other country. The next one point discussed is initiative on denial of safe haven to corruption. The BRICS initiative on denial of safe haven to corruption aims to further strengthen anti-corruption capacity building through education and training programs and enhance anti-corruption exchanges and cooperation within multilateral frameworks. Fine. That is what. Okay. So, denial of safe haven to corruption. The person committing corruption and leaving the country and taking asylum in another country. Anti-corruption capacity building through education and training program and enhance anti-corruption exchanges and cooperation. This is most important. What? Anti-corruption exchanges and cooperation within multilateral frameworks. Fine. Framework for consumer protection in e-commerce. The declaration also welcomed the establishment of digital economy working group by upgrading the e-commerce working group. Okay. The declaration welcomed the establishment of the digital economy working group, and this is the upgraded version of the e-commerce working group of BRICS. And the BRICS nations have agreed to promote consumer protection in e-commerce. What they want to promote? They want to promote consumer protection in e-commerce. Okay, because e-commerce is a global activity. Okay, e-commerce is a global activity. Here, the consumer must be protected, or else so the trust of the global community on e-commerce will fall drastically. Fine. This is what has been agreed upon at the summit, because e-commerce is in the focus of the global trade at present, and the same was highlighted at the BRICS summit. The declaration welcomed the establishment of the digital economy working group, and the BRICS nations have agreed to promote consumer protection in e-commerce by advancing the implementation of BRICS framework for consumer protection in e-commerce. Okay. Another important area that they have taken for discussion is related to combating transnational drug trafficking. You know, drug trafficking or illegal transport of drugs from one country to another using carriers, using smugglers, using other different mechanism is a growing menace around the world, and the summit expressed concern over the serious drug situation in the world, the number of drug addicts, its socio-economic impact, its security threat, and the misuse of the drug money on further anti-national activities is an issue of big concern for the BRICS nations. BRICS declaration appreciated the BRICS anti-drug working group's active role in combating transnational drug trafficking and promoting global drug governance, and will further strengthen drug control cooperation. Fine. It was also agreed upon. Then Russian response. Russia made a veiled attack on the US and European Union countries for using financial mechanism and to shift their own mistake in economic policy to the rest of the world. Getting a forum to express its grievances, Russia pointed fingers towards USA and European countries. Okay. For using financial mechanism and to shift their own mistakes. That has led to the recession around the world, to rest of the world. And China president called on members to reject the Cold War mentality and oppose what he called the US European Union unilateral sanctions imposed on many countries around the world. Okay, so you can say that USA and European Union are putting the blame on other countries. Okay, what is the issue there? For using financial mechanism and to shift their mistakes, China president called on member to reject Cold War mentality that was between Russia and USSR and USA, and oppose what he called the US and European Union's unilateral sanction imposed on many countries like China, like Russia. The Chinese president also called for a large security alliance within BRICS, underlining that Beijing would like to work with the grouping to operationalize the global security initiative. Okay, that is what proposed by China in May 2022. The Global Security Initiative aims to be an Asian security framework that replaces confrontation, alliance and zero-sum approach with dialogue, partnership and win-win results for the BRICS member countries. That is what has been discussed. This was the Chinese position expressed at the BRICS summit. Fine. And it will be a win-win result for all. An Indian stand. The Indian Prime Minister focused on the importance of BRICS in the post-pandemic global economic recovery. You know, without highlighting the negativity as being done by Russia and China, the Indian Prime Minister pointed on positive growth trend, how the global community should cooperate each other, or how the BRICS countries can cooperate each other in overcoming the post-pandemic recessionary trend witnessed around the world. As the post-pandemic trend or recession became a big issue around the world, so the member countries expressed, that India expressed its concern that how the BRICS countries should take steps to overcome this recessionary trend which is engulfing more and more countries in its grip. Then the future prospect, the Afghan issue. There is a need to contribute to fostering an inclusive intra-Afghan dialogue so as to ensure stability, civil peace, law and order in Afghanistan. Fine. Russia-Ukraine conflict. BRICS should play an important role in stabilizing the current events on the globe, primarily resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Fine. It was the responsibility or the things was given to BRICS that they should work on finding a solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, because this is not at all in the benefit of any country. So if this is not good for anyone, then why to follow this off? That is why it was decided to stop the war and save mankind from further destruction. Fine. This is what okay. BRICS should play an important role in stalling the current events on the globe, primarily resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It was also discussed at the BRICS summit. Ensuring stable macroeconomy, it can contribute significantly to global economic growth and stability by leveraging the New Development Bank, the CRA and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. By effectively using the platform, it can resolve the deadlock in the Ukraine region and can unclog the supply chain, thus bringing price and supply to normalcy. It was discussed for a stable macroeconomic recovery. Then the post-pandemic world, the world is not the same as it was before the pandemic. The forum should harness its position to bring changes in the governance of the developing world so that they can effectively recover from the pandemic after effects. There is a strong need for equity and justice in multilateral organizations with more investment in poverty alleviation, education, health and food security. Fine. So these are the major issues discussed at the BRICS summit hosted by Russia, and this is very important for you. So be in touch with us. So follow our YouTube classes to enrich yourself on the important topics. Thank you for watching.